Welcome. Recordings in progress. So good morning, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to the May CoC meeting. It's good to have you with us today. And we got some ground to cover today and things to talk about. So we'll go ahead and get started with our slideshow. So Emily and Savannah are helping us run this today. So there's our agenda. As you see, we got some things to cover, and so we're going to go on. At any point, if you have a question or you have a comment, feel free to stop me and ask me. But we want to make sure we have time to get the information to you. Again, the slide deck will be sent to you so you can look at it again even more in depth and ask questions later if you need to as well. So let's go ahead. There's a COVID update. As you see, things are kind of, I guess, I don't know if they're stabilizing or what they're doing, but a lot of mask mandates are down. You can fly now without a mask. So, but we still want to be cautious and around those that we're come in contact with. So just please make sure that we don't, just because the COVID numbers may be going down and not what they were this time, even a year ago, we certainly would still want to be cautious to make sure that we're taking all the precautions that we can. All right. Okay, so we've been doing some meetings with Joe Spangler from HUD, and also because we're working for the CoC to get the YHDP grant, and then this coming fall we've got the CoC NOFA coming up, NOFA, whatever it's called this year, coming up, that we want to make sure that we have as strong an application as we can. And so part of that is that the CoC has to have some committees, and not just to have a committee, but to be actively working in the committees and doing things. And so, so we're working with the governing council met a couple of 3 weeks ago. And so, you know, then we're in agreement that we need to have an active CoC committee function going on. And so in reality, our CoC meetings should be committee driven, committee report driven, and not necessarily just one person kind of leading the whole show. So we're trying to get our committees lined back up. And so some of the things that we've talked about are the first steps is we need to assemble, obviously, a nomination committee. And you see what that'll do there. It'll help select candidates for the governing council from the CoC membership pool, receive the candidate's approval, and bring the candidate name to the CoC as a whole for a vote. And that has to happen annually. Again, according to our bylaws, the CoC bylaws. Rules and responsibilities you see there as the chair of this committee, nominations committee. You see the vice chair, what their responsibilities are. Secretary obviously keeps the minutes and so forth and sends out those reports, and then a couple of extra other members with in-depth knowledge of CoC and able to contribute information needed for nominations. And so we first need to assemble, get us a nominations committee together so that we can therefore then start making nominations for governing council and other committee positions. All right, next. And Emily or Savannah, if I missed something, please feel free to step in and let me know. All right, so how you become a member. Nominations committee membership is appointed by the governing council. Time commitment, you meet monthly, approximately 1 hour for the first 3 months or so. And then you can set up a schedule to be every couple of months or quarterly going forward, however you want to do that. But to be sure and get us to the point to where we can meet our committee nominations and elections, the first 3 months, you'll need to meet probably once a month. Responsibilities, again, the slide deck with roles and responsibilities will be sent out. If you have any questions or clarifications or need for clarification, don't hesitate to ask us. So if you're interested in joining the nominations committee, please reach out to Sabrina. Sabrina is the chair of the governing council, and let her know this week, please, so we can kind of get this ball rolling and we can make sure, again, we kind of get our nominations and our elections done, and we can start being in compliance with our bylaws as a COC. All right, next one, please. All right, we'll hold a vote for governing council positions at the July COC meeting. And yeah, Sabrina's just put her email there in the chat, so be sure to jot that down, or so you can make sure to have that. And then elections will take place in October each year going forward, beginning in October of 23. And that's working us back to being in compliance with the bylaws of the COC. So here's our current governing council. Chairperson is Sabrina Seaman, and you see the roles there of the governing of the chair. Vice chair is Shannon Dow. Secretary, I don't believe we have that position filled. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know. We did, but I think that person had to step out of that role. And then the collaborative applicant liaison is me as TVCH is a collaborative applicant. And so the role of the collaborative applicant is disseminate TVCOC, that's a TVCOC agenda. So once the agenda is established, then we'll be pushing that out to everybody so that you'll know what's going on. Okay. So as we continue talking about our committees, here's what we're looking for in the future. Is we need a coordinated entry system committee. I know some of you are familiar with that. Some of you may already be involved in that, but we need to continue to have that because as we apply for more COC wide grants, coordinated entry and data, all that stuff is very vital. They ask a lot of questions about, as a COC, how we do have a data management committee currently, but we need more members, right? Exactly, because we got to have that data to put that stuff into the grants, so that again we have as strong as application as we can. We need a point in time committee that will help make sure and coordinate that COC wide. So that's a very important part too, because the point in time count and the hit count, that all that is looked at very hard by HUD and others as they begin to look at these grants. And so we want to make sure we've got that committee in place to help us make sure we get as good and accurate as count, because again, you all probably know, but that pit count then is submitted and all that governmental stuff goes through and it goes up to Congress, and that's kind of determines how much money is put out for to help fight against homelessness at the governmental and federal levels and so forth. So we want to help make sure our count is as accurate as possible, so that we can be as eligible as a COC as much as we can, to get as much as we can to continue to do what we need to do. And then, as again, we're talking about the YHDP, but not just for that, just because we're seeing a lot more youth homelessness. So a youth liaison committee, you see the responsibilities there for that. And so we need people to be on that. It's three. We'll need to get 3 or 4 unsheltered youth, or people youth that experienced homelessness, lived experience to be on there. But also we'll need some others that know the area that can be on that and kind of help lead that committee. They have the youth liaison committee has some questions to answer in the YHDP that they have to come up with. It can't be we do it and as adults and then say, okay, guys, here, submit this. So the questions they have to answer. So having a youth liaison committee is very important to us as well. So there's some committees that we're looking for in the future. If you want to be on any of those, again, we let Sabrina know, or let any of us know. We can pass that on as well. But we really need to be committee driven as a COC and get back to running the COC as it's supposed to be. All right. Next. So please consider which of these committees you'd be interested in serving on. If you got any questions about them, again, you can reach out to myself or Sabrina, and we can help explain a little bit more what those committees are and what your involvement will be on those things. But we are, we really need to get back to having our committees and being active committees within the CoC, because that just makes us stronger as a whole when everybody's involved and we're running it the way it's supposed to be run. All right. Okay, so now we're going to continue talking about the Youth Action Board recruitment. So TVCOC is recruiting for the Youth Action Board. As I said, at least 3 youth with voting power on policy decisions of the CoC. And I know, again, it sounds kind of weird. Why would we put kids on there? But they will have lived experience, and they will understand homelessness, and they will help make sure that we're reaching in the right places and doing the right things. You see that at least 2/3 of the YAB members must be 24 or younger and have lived experience. So TVCH, us individually as an organization, we're committed to compensating the Youth Action Board for their time. And what we're proposing is $40 per meeting per individual, with initial goal of recruiting 4 to 5 youth and young adults who will meet 1 to 2 times monthly. And so we're committing to paying them $40 each time they meet. And so what we're hoping for is that other members of the CoC are excited to support this youth-led initiative and can contribute funding to support the Youth Action Board compensation. Again, we're committed to paying for it, but if once we get this established and rolling, and we see the benefits of it, if you like to help offset some of that expense, we're certainly not going to turn that down. But we really, that's how strongly we believe in trying to get this Youth Action Board together and to getting the YHDP for our CoC. So if you'd like to contribute, please notify Sabrina or myself, and we'll arrange a CoC fund for the YAB activities. But we're active. I know we've already had a couple of possibilities of young people. And Emily, I might be getting ahead here, but I know we've got a flyer that we're going to put out. Go ahead, Emily. I think.
Yeah, go ahead and go to the next slide. I think it might be on.
I can't go to the next slide.
So then how are you?
There we go. Okay. So here's how we're doing some of the recruitment. As I said, we've had a couple of young people that we've come across that when we start talking about this, I went, oh, they'd be good. And so we're trying to reach out to them, but also what we're trying to do, we've created a flyer that we're ready to put out in, as it says, give out to school counselors, child service agencies, libraries, correctional facilities, and so on. But if you know of a contact person or good location to post a flyer, which will include the PDF when this slide deck is sent out, please print out as many copies as needed and get the word out to interested youth. And so we're going to put this up. We talked about, for instance, Carson Newman College or University. I went there. It's always been Carson Newman College to me. Carson Newman University, Lincoln Memorial University, and Maryville. Is it still college? Or have they changed the university as well? Anyway, Maryville College are all 3 within our footprint of the counties that we serve, the 12 counties. So we're looking at maybe putting them up there, getting in touch with them, but also high schools around the area, as I said, libraries, anywhere we can find a chance to have contact with youth that would fit the criteria. So like I said, this will come out, we can send it to you and you can print it out, put as many out as you need to, hand them out. Or if you know of individuals already, young people, then you can again contact us and we'll make sure that they know what's going on. So please put this out there and work on that for us. Thank you. Another thing that we're doing to help increase our ability, and I say our, meaning the CoC, not TVCH, to increase our ability to have good, strong applications for all grants, not just YHDP, but for all grants, is a community needs assessment. We have met with 3 consulting firms, and we've gotten a reply from 2 of them with proposals. And there'll be a community needs assessment for our region. It'll cover all 12 counties, and the first round of reports should be available in late June. And so we are excited to partner with an experienced consultant. These people have done, both of the ones that have responded have done work all over the country, both rural and urban. And so very familiar with everything, all the programs and grants and stuff that we all are tied into in one shape, form, or fashion. And so they will be able to do a comprehensive community needs assessment. And we'll have those results in late June, but that'll be for the whole CoC as well. So, oh, and it said, I'm sorry, go back one moment. Go back one slide. So part of that, no, there we go. Stop. Do not pass go. So you may be hearing from them when they start rolling with this. That last sentence, so you may be hearing from them in the coming months. They maybe need some information from you, data. They may have a questionnaire. I'm not sure, but so we just to let you know if you get that from them about a community needs assessment, and we'll give you a heads up too once they start. That way you can know, oh, this email is from so and so or this whatever, and we need to fill this out for the good of the CoC. Thank you. Go ahead. All right. So again, Youth Liaison Committee, we're hosting a kickoff meeting via Zoom on Monday, May 9th at 1:30 for the committee. The invite will go out to all CoC members after this meeting. Feel free to join the call. We'll be going over activities needed to launch the app and establish a plan for the youth homelessness demonstration program grant application. And again, I know you go, oh gosh, another meeting and another this or that. I get it. But again, this will give you more information. We're talking about the possibility that the floor of this grant, again, this is for the CoC. The floor of this grant is $1 million. The ceiling's $15 million. There's a big emphasis on rural youth homelessness. We're kind of estimating we may fall somewhere between the $2 to $3 million range, give or take, when we get this award. Maybe not this year, but next year, whenever we get it. And so that'll go a long way to help us. And so if you're interested in this, there's the kickoff meeting Monday, May 9th. And again, you'll see that when you get these slide decks in your email. All right, yesterday we were able to, TVCH was ready, opened our focus center in Jacksboro or La Follette, depending on which city council decides to claim that area at this time. But we opened that in Jacksboro, and we were able to open it to be able to meet these needs. It's called the Focus Center, and there's what it will do out of it. We're going to feed, we're going to do outreach, we're going to clothe people, we're going to uplift them, and we're going to provide our services. And so that's just a little picture of me and the mayor. Both of us are kind of hard to tell apart. I know we mixed in there so well because we're so small. But we're cutting the ribbon, and so that was a good day for us. But if you have any touch in Campbell County, Anderson County, or Claiborne County, this center will serve those 3 counties and be able to do things. So, got any questions? Feel free to ask me, and we'll let you know what's going on there. Again, if you're in those areas, and some of you were there yesterday, so thank you so much for coming out. I know Allie was there, and some others, and so just thank you so much for being there yesterday and supporting us. The address of the Focus Center is 2620 Jacksboro Pike, and on Google Maps, it's Jacksboro, Tennessee. But according to the city of La Follette that called us today, it's in La Follette. So, but I would go with 2620 Jacksboro Pike, Jacksboro. It's the old Marita bread store for anybody that knows the area, right next to the United Grocery Outlet, right past the old Riggs Pharmacy that's now closed. You're very welcome, Jan. Today we're starting our services. Oh, well, there you see all the things we'll be doing out of that. Well, and there's the address. So again, Google Maps has it as Jacksboro. City of La Follette apparently thinks it's La Follette. it's right on the city limit of line. So anyway, but yeah, stop by and see what's going on if you're up in the area. Our folks have done a really good job getting that set up, and I'm proud of them. Discussion COC news: upcoming HUD COC grants is anticipated to come out in August and September. Again, talking with Jill Spangler from HUD. So the big COC NOFAs that come out, we're expecting to be in August or September, and so so what we want to make sure this time is we need to understand that this is for the COC. This is not the grant for TVCH. This is a COC wide grant. We, as the lead applicants or collaborative applicant, we fill it out and we submit it. So last year, HUD kind of guessed or thought that we could have up to $1.3 million in funding through this grant for our COC. And so we actually only got 533,000, which, yes, those are our programs, which means we left almost $500,000 on the table as a COC. So what I would like to ask for everybody to start thinking about is, if you have a project that you want or need funding for, if you have an expansion that you'd like to do, if you have something that you're going to need some funding for coming up within the next year or so, if you'll begin thinking that way and start kind of writing up that proposal, then when we get this NOFO, then you can send that to us and to Emily, and we will be able to include that and seek that funding as a COC for your project. When the awards were listed, I started looking, and like Chattanooga had awards for all kinds of different programs from different organizations. And so we want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can for our COC, since it is a COC grant. And so we'll get our rank and review committee together, and all those applications and all those proposals will go in there, and the rank and review committee will list those. And then as we submit that, it may be that somebody has a proposal for a plan or a program, and then you can, if that gets ranked up there, then that's great. But we'll submit all that, and we'll have a chance, hopefully, for our COC to be strengthened through this application, and to make sure that we're getting as much money as we can for the COC and for all of you all, to make sure that we're the strongest COC that we can be, and doing the things that we need to be doing. So start kind of thinking that way, that, okay, what do we want to maybe submit in the fall in the NOFO that we might get funded for? I guess it'll be spring of next year when that is awarded. But start thinking that way, and say, okay, we want to do this plan, or we've got this on board, or we want to do this, and write it up, get it to Emily. I think she just dropped her email and stuff in there, and we'll be able to include that, because again, this COC is not about us; it's about us as a whole. And so I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to make sure everybody gets what they need. Okay, so start thinking that way, and hopefully by August or September we'll be able to start putting that in there, and we can get some more funding COC wide. So, okay. All right, what we got next? Oh, no, wait a minute. So, so let's just take a minute again. Like before we end, I'd like to go ahead and everybody kind of, if you got anything going on, tell us what's going on in your organization. I don't necessarily want to go around the screen and call roll, but if you've got any kind of programs going on, or opportunities, or things that we need to know that we as a COC could be supportive of, we would love to do that. Oh, let me give you, Emily, where you at? Let me give you an update on the COVID grant. Emily, you want to speak to that for a second?
Yes, so we submitted an application for a disease mitigation coordinator position, And the idea being that they would be able to be a mobile position that can ride around our counties and test for COVID, and then, you know, potentially other diseases as well. We have not received a official notice of award yet. They had anticipated that going out on May the 1st. So hopefully we'll hear back on that soon. And when we do, we will keep you guys updated. I think the plan is to hopefully work with you all on maybe setting up events once a month or so in different areas and send them out to do testing and screening. So that's all I've got.
Oh, thanks. I was replying in chat. All right, so y'all just tell us what's going on, what you think, what's happening in your agencies, and we'll just kind of be random. Whoever wants to start. Anybody doing outreach or street outreach?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to follow up. I think at the last meeting, I had mentioned a proposal was sent for the ESG grants to raise the fair market value, or maybe eliminate it. And I can't remember where we left off. I think that last time we had left off we had submitted, like, the proposal was submitted and we had kind of a weird thing happen. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew if anybody's receiving any HUD funds. Somehow HUD messed up. They sent out an announcement saying that they were going to eliminate the fair market value for the current ESG cycle. And then 2 weeks later, they sent out another email saying that was a mistake, that they were not going to eliminate the fair market value. So I guess I'm kind of just letting everybody know that if you're receiving any HUD money, if you didn't know, we are trying to change the fair market value. And if you did think that the fair market value had changed based on the first email that we got from HUD, that's actually incorrect. HUD did not change the fair market value like they said they were going to. I'm sorry, I'm saying HUD, I mean THDA. So we're still restrained by fair market value for now.
All right.
Andy, do you know if they're, oh, sorry, just a quick question for Andy. Do you know if they are awaiting on another proposal to potentially have a waiver for that? I know one time they had a waiver, right? And then they were looking at possibly extending it.
That's correct. So what happened
still considering it?
What happened is there is a waiver on the COVID funds. So if you had COVID ESG funds, then there wasn't a fair market value attached for it. When the new funds of ESG went out for this year, they reattached the fair market value rule. So you still had to follow the fair market value. A whole bunch of agencies complained about it and got together. So THDA asked HUD if they could forget about the fair market value or not have to use the fair market value for this round of ESG. And initially, like I said, we got an email back saying that HUD had approved that request. And then just like 2 weeks later, we got a second email back saying that they did not approve that request, that original email was a mistake. So for right now, we're still bound by the fair market value. But if you accidentally submitted, I think if you accidentally submitted a request in that 2 week period, that they're taking into consideration that I think that it'll be okay. I think that they know that they accidentally sent out that waiver. So.
Thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else have stuff going on or something they want to ask questions about? This is a great time for panel discussion. If you got questions on something, we got some really smart people in here. So
I have something.
sure.
So we've noticed a big gap in services in Sevier County. Sevier County doesn't recognize the homeless population. And so the only shelter is a domestic violence shelter. So if you aren't experiencing domestic violence, you're just out of luck. And so we've been trying to figure out how can we go around. They won't let you build a shelter. So how can we go around it? So we've started looking at, can we work with hotels and get the client to work for the hotel and pay their rent until we can get them into housing. But we've had a problem finding a hotel that would work with us. And so we just need somebody who knows, has connections, has any information that would be appreciated.
We do that a
Hey,
lot.
Blair.
Oh, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Hey, Blair, this is Tanya with Matt's. Sevier County is our service area for the homeless. So they can call us. The biggest issue I think around that is probably transportation to get from Sevier County to Hamblin County. That definitely would be a struggle, but we do serve Sevier County. So if you guys can in some way maybe try to work around maybe some transportation to get them here or something, that might help them. But they can call Matt's and do the coordinated entry, and then of course do our screening.
What does MATS stand for?
Ministerial Association Temporary Shelter.
Okay.
So we are a self-sufficiency program for the homeless.
Okay.
I can tell you, so we do that. Like we shelter a lot of people in hotels, like a lot, because we're in the same situation. One thing that we do is most of the hotels that we work with are mom and pop hotels. So we work with Days Inn and Quality Inn and Comfort Inn, but we probably work more with smaller places. And then the second thing we do is I promise up to a certain amount. So I keep a certain amount in a fund just for repairs to hotel rooms. And then I guarantee the hotel room that if there's damages to the room, we can pay it. And I think basically we've come up with around like $1,500. So we tell the hotel, if you have a damage, invoice us for the amount and we will pay you back up to $1,500 for any damages. That's another thing I can think of. Networking with the mom and pop hotels is really the big key though.
Okay.
Blair, we had ESG funding during the wildfires in Sevier County. I'm with the McNabb Center, and there are some hotels that we were able to partner with, mostly like Andy said, mom and pop hotels. I can get you a list of those. I will say during the peak seasons, it is very difficult to get the hotels to assist. Or in the off seasons, they were better able to provide shelter. But I can get you a list of those hotels.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And the mom and pops are going to be more aware of the the homelessness in the area than a big chain is going to, know as well. Even though the government won't admit it, but they'll know and they'll understand what's going on. So that's good advice. Blair, do you know anything about what's happening with the latest round of fires? Is the needs that are there? Blair's with the Salvation Army Sevierville, in case people don't know. But do you know of what they're doing? Is there any need? I reached out like the day after they started, to East Tennessee Foundation and THDA, and they didn't have a clue what was going to be needed. So
There was more of an abundance of donations, and they ended up just there was 44,000 bottles of water donated. And so it just ended up getting split amongst, we only had one family contact us that needed help. So I think everything's covered.
as far as housing, there's no homelessness. No.
Yeah, we haven't had anybody ask us for housing.
Okay.
Chris, we're on the Mountain Tough recovery team in Sevier County, and there were no displaced residents needing housing.
Oh, so there's all like rental cabins and stuff that were, not that that's okay, but
Right.
yeah. Okay. Well, good.
Blair, you might also check into like you were talking about getting jobs at hotels. You might also check with like Ober, Gatlinburg, and Anakista. because there's some place that they work with that they normally house those J1 people that come in. And I think they've had a drop in those because of COVID restrictions. So they might be willing to work with you with that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I heard on the radio today that Skylift, I think, is hiring for a bunch of positions. So that might be something too if you need. I'm just trying to sound like I know what I'm talking about in part of the conversation. I listen to the radio. All right, what else? Somebody got, does that help you, Blair? Okay.
It definitely does. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yes. All right. Who else got questions or something to throw out?
I would just like to remind everyone that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so it's a really good opportunity to take advantage of people talking more about mental health to spread the message about mental health awareness and connect people to treatment. Because of course, when we're thinking about homelessness, of course, we want housing first, but we want to sustain that by also taking care of people's mental health. So the Mental Health Association of East Tennessee will be sharing mental health awareness information throughout the month. So you can share things directly from our page. I'm sure any number of other mental health organizations in our area will also be sharing messaging. But definitely just take advantage and start talking more about mental health this month.
Absolutely. Thank you, Caitlin. Anyone? Tiffany, anything going on to the VA?
No changes right now. Thank you, though.
Okay.
We are winding down our ESG program. We had some of the COVID CV2 ESG funds, and so we're winding that down. So we won't have those funds for much longer. So,
You know, they expanded that from June of 22 to June of 23.
what?
Yeah.
Oh,
You can spend now till, well, I mean, you can finish it whenever you want to, but they moved the deadline from 22 to 23 of June. And I think your final reporting by December of 23. So now if you want to spread it out for another year, Sabrina, feel free.
Is that just for CV2? Because I think I'm under the CV, and they are about to do. They want all of us to get in there. Is it?
Yeah, no, it's CV1. It's any, Emily, help me make sure I'm right, but it's any of the one or two.
That's correct. Yep.
Because we've been jamming to get money spent by June as well, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Oh no, HUD's decided to give us until June of 23." So now that kind of.
I just got a email from Jody on April the 20th, and it says that the ESG CV deadline is June of 2022.
Tanya, I can forward you the email. It came down from I think the HUD exchange, I want to say a week and a half ago. So it might have been after that.
so
Yes.
but it's still within the 2-week window in which HUD and or THDA can change their mind, like they did with Andy.
Right.
Well, you never know, depending on which day it is, but yeah, it was because we sat and looked because they CV money, so that reclaim money might be available. And I was like, hey, can we get more money? We sat and looked at it and talked about it, and it said that it's now been extended from June of 22 to June of 23. And so, again, we were kind of like, gosh, we've been trying to rapid rehouse and do, spend money. Like, wait a minute, now we can slow down a little bit, so.
That would have been nice to know. That would have been nice to know like 6 months ago.
Exactly. Well, and my whole thing was they came out last year, or like towards the end of the year, like, we got to have a spending plan, show us how you're going to spend this money. And so I worked up a spending plan, sent it in, and then they still came around and said, we're going to take a little bit of your money back. And it was like, well, why the heck did I do the spending plan? If you're going to just come back and say, never mind, we're going to take your money. So it's, but I love THDA and I love HUD. So, you know, because you never know when somebody's listening on here.
Just forwarded you guys what I got, so maybe, I don't know. That's funny. You never know when somebody's listening.
Emily, or you don't mind if you can find that email and send that, just send it out in MailChimp so everybody's got it. I know some of you don't have CV funds and all that stuff, but again, it's just so everybody, we cover everybody and don't miss anybody if you don't care.
Yes, I can do that. No problem.
Great. Because I don't want anybody to get messed up either. All right.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
It's Robin.
Hey, Robin.
So I did put this in the chat, but I also wanted to remind everyone that the month of May is our spring fundraiser, and it could be really cool to have each of your organizations, if you're interested, join as a team. It's kind of a walkathon, only where people will sponsor you to move. But we have events for cyclists, swimmers, rock climbers, and then also walkers, runners, and hikers. So you have the entire month of May to do it. If you're interested, I did put the link for the event in the chat, but we would love to see some of our CoC partners participate in that.
Yeah, you can raise funds for the mile or by the meter or however it is you measure how you move. I was going to be involved, but there's not a category for twerkers, so I didn't. I didn't sign up. Not a way to measure that. Anyway, okay. I see you laughing, Tony. All right. Anything else? Back to being a professional. Anything else?
I think I may have found an email for the for the ESG under CARES Act. It says to September 30th, 2022, but that doesn't mean that's what THDA will allow. That's the only thing I found.
Now, this was Emily sent it out, but it was a whole thing about how that HUD has just, has come out and said that now they can move it a year and all that stuff. So
cool.
We'll get that to you.
Actually not cool, but that's okay.
Yeah. And again, that was last week. This week, they may say, hey, it's due by the end of May. So who knows?
I can share real quick. Oh, sorry. I can share real quick just about the recent street outreach event that McNabb participated in, a place to stay held a couple weekends ago. We had close to 80 individuals attend that event. Last I checked, there towards the end, and went really well. And they're looking to schedule the next street outreach event on July 16th. It's a Saturday from noon to 3, and that'll be at Chilhowie Baptist Center. And still have, to my knowledge, everybody keeps joining as far as resources. So glad we're able to kind of sustain that. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
Do you have a flyer for that or something that you can?
I don't yet. As soon as they send me an official one, I can send that out.
Yeah, at least send that or email that, because we'd love to put that out on Facebook and stuff like that.
Definitely.
And let me share this too, just again with high hopes of getting the COVID grant thing that Emily submitted or we've submitted. Again, that's a CoC grant. It's not a TVCH grant. But part of that written into that will be a shower trailer that will have. Did we do the 2 or 3 plus the ADA, Emily?
We did 3, so 1 ADA and 2 regular.
Okay, so it'll be 2 quote unquote regular showers that have a toilet, sink, and a shower, and then one that'll be ADA compliant and have a lift that can bring people up and they can roll in there do their showering and care. But we'll have, again, if that all the COVID thing comes through, we'll be able to purchase that along with a vehicle to pull it. And so when Aaron, you have these type of things, and we can, as a COC, have that to offer. So anybody that's doing, a COC that's doing a street outreach or something where that would be handy or something, we can certainly pull that up there and have it, available. We'll get a schedule set for that. But that'll be part of that if that hopefully all comes through. Because again, they suggested we ask for 500,000, and so by golly, we asked for 500,000. And so when that comes through, then we'll be able to get that rolling and have that available for the COC to use for things like this and stuff like that.
So we don't have street outreach here in Hamlin County, but would it be feasible to just come and offer that
Sure.
from time to time? Just kind of like set up at, mats and,
Absolutely.
I think that would be a good thing.
Yeah, it's COC use. So we'll just, like I said, we get a schedule, we get a calendar for it, and then we'll just, haul it around to where we need to. But what would be great with that, if we could get, partner with somebody that can do haircuts and somebody that can do, eventually I would love for us, either us or us as a COC, to have a laundry trailer too, to be able to set up, but we'll figure that out some other point. But we can find somebody who would do volunteer haircuts and things like that. It's just set up and do a whole big old COC wide street outreach, different places. That'd be great.
Yeah, I think for Blount County, they use the local school beauty to come out and do haircuts. So, Tanya, I can't remember if there's still a beauty school there in Morristown.
Yeah, there is.
That might be a place to kind of reach out to if you're interested in that for that event.
I would love that. We have one of our staff members is a licensed hairdresser, and then my daughter, she's a nurse now, but she also still has her license. That would be great to kind of do that to get some of those on board to do that as well. So that would be
free haircuts
awesome.
and free haircuts, like a little health screening, blood pressure and whatever, and then
a COVID test and a
COVID test when we get the COVID thing going, and then and somebody like works for a job agency or somebody that could come in and kind of set up and say, here's some job opportunities.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
And just set it all up and just come down. So you get your shower cleaned up, and then you go through and you can even do like a little job fair. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It's all. So, but we don't have the trailer yet. Otherwise, right now we just have to get a water hose and a bar of soap. But eventually we'll have a shower trailer. All right. Anybody have anything else? We're bumping up against the hour, so I want to be respectful. Okay. Folks, please consider the committee stuff that we talked about. Again, I want us to be the strongest COC that we can be. And so we need to be functioning as a COC is supposed to, and that's to be committee driven. And so please consider those committees when this stuff comes out, look at it. And again, according to the way it's supposed to run, contact Sabrina, but if you want to reach out to me as well, then I can pass that along to the governing council as well. But please consider those things. We've got, like I said, tremendous people in our COC that can be just run it and do a really great job with the way it's supposed to be run. So I look forward to seeing what we got coming up. Okay, last time, anything else?
Hey, Chris, so about the committees, so some of us are already assigned to some of those committees. Okay, so the question being, are you basically disbanding and just starting afresh and building your committees, or are the ones who are in existing still in the existing, you're just adding to?
Sabrina? That's the look I like, Sabrina.
Well, I can speak to the data management committee. Tanya, we definitely still want you on that committee. So I think right now you, me, and Aletha are the only people who really come to those meetings. So I definitely want to keep us on there. And then we have some new members that are interested who might be joining us soon. So I definitely want to keep the structure of ours, and please, anyone who is interested in data management, data analysis, honestly, data-led efforts in our continuum, please feel free to reach out to me and, express your interest in joining that committee. It would be really wonderful to have more people in on that committee.
Right. So if you're on the committee right now, we don't want to disband that. I don't believe. Sabrina, correct me if I'm wrong. We don't want to disband that, but we certainly want to add to the ones we have, and then obviously those newer ones, new committees, we need to build those. So, and then we need to start those committees need to start functioning as they're supposed to be functioning.
Chris, that's correct. We want to continue with those that are on, but add to. And I think it would be helpful if you're assigned to a committee, if you can send that to Sabrina as well, just confirming your continued participation in that committee would be helpful.
Right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Anything else? Anybody? All right. Well, thank y'all so much, and hope you have a good rest of your month. And if I don't see any of you before then, we'll see you next month at our next meeting. Have a great day.